Hello and welcome to Learn English with Podcast Conversation. I'm David, and this is episode 4 for beginners.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah, and we're excited to help you practice your English today.
Today we have 3 interesting news stories to discuss. We'll talk about them using simple English that's easy to understand.
That's right. And after each story, we'll explain the important words and phrases to help you learn new vocabulary.
We'll keep everything clear and simple, speaking slowly so you can follow along easily.
So, are you ready to improve your English with us?
Let's begin. Sarah, did you hear about the interesting story from Australia? A family found something very special in their backyard.
Oh yes, David. They found a giant mushroom. It was really big as a basketball.
That's amazing. Can you tell us more about it?
Well, the family lives in Melbourne. One morning, they went outside and saw this huge mushroom growing in their garden.
Was it safe to eat?
No, they didn't eat it. That was very smart because not all mushrooms are safe. They called a local expert to look at it.
What did the expert say about it?
The expert said it was a rare type of mushroom. It's called a giant puffball. They don't see them very often in Australia.
That's interesting. How long did the mushroom stay in their garden?
It stayed for about 1 week. The family took many pictures of it to share with their friends.
Did other people come to see it?
Yes! Many neighbors came to look at the giant mushroom. It became famous in their small town.
What a fun story. It shows that amazing things can happen in ordinary places.
That's right. And it teaches us that we should always be careful with wild mushrooms and ask experts when we're not sure about something.
Good point, Sarah. It's important to be safe, even when we find exciting things. Now let's look at some important words from our story. The first word is backyard.
Yes, a backyard is the area behind your house. In some countries, people call it a garden.
Can you give us an example sentence?
Sure, the children love playing in their backyard.
Perfect. Another important word from our story is giant.
Giant means very big or huge. Like in our story, the mushroom was giant, as big as a basketball.
Here's another important word, rare.
Rare means something that doesn't happen often or is not common. The giant puffball mushroom was rare because people don't see it much in Australia.
Let's talk about the word expert.
An expert is someone who knows a lot about something. Like in our story, they called a mushroom expert to look at their discovery.
And here's a useful phrase we used, to be careful.
Yes! To be careful means to pay attention and avoid danger. For example, we must be careful with wild mushrooms.
One last important word is ordinary.
Ordinary means normal or usual. Like when we said, amazing things can happen in ordinary places.
These words are very useful for everyday English conversations.
Yes, and remember, practice using these words when you speak English.
Let's move on to our second interesting story today. Have you heard about the friendly penguin that visits a beach in New Zealand?
Oh yes, this is such a sweet story. A little blue penguin comes to the same beach every day to meet people.
That's right. The penguin first appeared last month, and now it's becoming famous in the small town.
Can you tell our listeners what a blue penguin looks like?
Of course. Blue penguins are very small. They're actually the smallest type of penguin in the world. They're about as tall as a water bottle.
And they have blue and white feathers, right?
Yes, that's correct. The local people have started calling this penguin Billy. They say it seems to enjoy watching people walk on the beach.
But it's important to remember something, isn't it?
Yes, very important. People should not try to touch the penguin or feed it. We must let it be wild and free.
The town has put up signs to help protect Billy. What do the signs say?
The signs tell people to stay at least 10 meters away from the penguin. They also ask people not to take photos with flash.
Why is that important?
Because bright lights can scare the penguin. And we want Billy to feel safe and comfortable on the beach.
It's amazing that this little penguin chose to visit this beach every day. Do penguins usually do this?
No, it's quite unusual. Normally penguins are shy and stay away from people. That's why Billy is so special.
What do the local people think about their new visitor?
They're very happy. They say it makes their beach walks more exciting. But they're also careful to protect the penguin. Now, let's look at some important words from our penguin story. The first word we want to learn is appear.
Yes, we said the penguin appeared last month. When something appears, it means it shows up or becomes visible.
Here's another example. The sun appears in the morning.
Our next word is protect. In our story, the town wants to protect the penguin.
To protect means to keep something safe from harm. Parents protect their children. We protect our skin from the sun.
Let's talk about the word unusual. We said it's unusual for penguins to visit people.
Right. When something is unusual, it doesn't happen often. It's not normal or common.
And what about the word shy? We mentioned that most penguins are shy.
When someone is shy, they don't like to be around other people. They feel nervous or scared in social situations.
Let's practice using these words in simple sentences. If I say, my cat usually hides from visitors because she is,
Shy. Yes, that's perfect. Here's another one. It's unusual to see snow in summer.
and one more important phrase we used was stay away from.
Yes. When we tell someone to stay away from something, we want them to keep their distance. Like in our story, people must stay away from the penguin.
That's right. Just like we should stay away from hot stoves or dangerous animals.
Very good. Using these words will help you talk about animals and safety in English.
Let's talk about another interesting story from the news. There's a small town in Italy that has a very special traffic light.
This traffic light gives people extra time to cross the street if they walk slowly.
That sounds very helpful. How does it work?
The traffic light has a special camera. It can see if someone is walking slowly or using a walking stick.
So if an older person or someone who needs more time is crossing, the light stays green longer?
Yes, exactly. The green light stays on longer to make sure everyone can cross safely.
What do the people in the town think about this new traffic light?
They are very happy with it. Many older people say they feel safer now when they cross the street.
Are there other towns that want to use this kind of traffic light?
Yes, many other towns in Italy are interested in getting these special traffic lights too. I agree, and it's a simple way to make the streets safer for everyone.
Do you think we will see more traffic lights like this in other countries?
I think so. More and more cities want to make their streets safe for all people, no matter how fast or slow they walk.
That's wonderful news. Sometimes small changes can make a big difference in people's lives.
Yes, and it shows how we can use simple technology to be more kind and helpful to others.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Learn English with Podcast Conversation.
We've covered some really interesting stories today. We learned about new words like traffic light, safely, and technology.
Yes, and we practiced many useful everyday expressions. Remember, learning English takes time, but every little bit helps.
In our next episode, we'll be talking about interesting animals from around the world.
That's right. We'll learn words about animals, their habitats, and some amazing facts about wildlife.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast today.
And remember to practice the words you learned. Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone, and happy learning.